Hello and welcome back to the On Respite and to the second ever WWE and AAA co-produced Worlds Collide out of 10. It's a big match on this card, including Vikingo versus Dominic Mysterio and a four-way match involving the likes of Ethan Page and JD McDonough for the AAA Latin American Championship. But we started things off with an 8-man tag match, but the show opened with a shot of Triple H and Shawn Michaels running in to take a backstage. After singing of the anthems, Penta made his way out to a big pop. He gave a promo in Spanish and had the crowd pumped up. Hamburger, Oxgon Jr., Laredo Kid and Sagrado versus Del Toro, Wild, Dorado and Mini was the first match. Both teams took turns tagging in different people for quick sequences just to get everyone a little time in the ring. Del Toro and Wide were the standouts for their team. They benefited from the relationship, getting more prominent spots, and you can see them working hard to make sure they deserve it. It was far-paced, that wasn't lacking for high-flying spots. Some guys definitely shone brighter than others, but it felt like both teams got equal attention. As well, the match was entertaining and had the crowd chanting and cheering. It definitely lacked any sense of stakes. It didn't really feel like a PLE match. After that being said, the final few minutes were fun, and Segredo scored the win. The crowd were going wild. So yeah, on the whole, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10, I think. And then the next match was Apache taking on Natalia. They obviously had a personal grudge to settle, but they were also competing to see who would become the next challenger for the Reina de Reinas Championship. Natalie's been tapping into a different side of her personality lately, and it really helped to refresh her character. She feels more focused and aggressive, and as soon as the bell rang, they went right at each other. Apache wrestled to her mat, but Natalia quickly escaped to submission before they started trading shoulder blocks. They kept the pace steady, but it never felt like they were rushing. They took time to sell big moves and wrenched in submissions long enough for it actually seemed like it might cause an effect. The bout was a great display of how fundamental skills no go out of style. The two women have almost 50 years of experience between them, but they didn't need to do anything fancy to keep the crowd invested, and they made it look easy. After a hard-fought match, Natalia won with a counter to a pinning combination to get the free. They got into a little fight after, but the ref broke it up. I thought this was a really good, fun match between two experienced competitors, 6 out of 10. As we then got New Day versus Psycho Clown and Pajanjo for the AAA Tag Team titles. Grace and Waller was subbing in for an injured Woods, and Waller starts against Clown, and the masked men took control and then took a moment to pose with an oblivious Woods before he noticed it wasn't Waller. Conan pointed out how there were some different rules to the match, what we would get in WWE, but the differences were minimal. It played out like a typical WWE tag match, which may have been to its detriment. The pace of the match was slow, especially with the two teams. There had some good moments, but as a whole it fell short of expectations. The last few minutes picked up, but yeah, it was overall mediocre. The AAA team retained the titles, and as they were preparing into you, the White 6 turned up attack, and that could be interesting. But yeah, for this lane, 5 out of 10. As we then got Lola Vice and Mr. Iguana versus Roxanne Perez and Finn Balor. Raquel Rodriguez accompanied her Judgment Day teammates. The men started the match with a wrist lock exchange. The Lizard enthusiast dropkicked Balor when he tried to go for the bag containing his demon puppet. Rodriguez interrupted and dropped Mr. Iguana on the apron, while Balor had the ref distracted. This gave Judgment Day a clear advantage and allowed the Prince to stop his opponent in the match. Somehow the demon puppet made an appearance from the ring without the Judgment Day being the one to control it. Balor acted like it was alive and told it to get back under the ring. A few minutes later, Balor brought the puppet into the ring and used it to take down Iguana. Most of the action was fine, but this leaned too heavily into comedy to the point it felt weird. Vice was able to hit a spinning backfist to get the pin and the win for a team. This match will likely entertain some fans who like the ridiculous of all. I do genuinely like that thing, but it just kind of felt a bit over the top. I'll give it a 5 out of 10. Before we got El Hijo de Dr. Warner versus Dragon Lee and Ethan Page and JD McDonough for the Latin American Championship. Lee and McDonough started chopping each other as soon as the bell rang, but Page shoved them out of the ring so he could focus on Wagner. The match started off hot and didn't slow down. All four of these men have their own styles, but the one thing they have in common is the ability to work fast-paced match. Compared to everything that came before it, this match was a cut above the rest. It had more exciting moves, more technical precisions, and a more logical flow to the action. They all found their groove quickly and worked well together. Wagner was victorious to retain his title, but all four men had a great showing here. It wouldn't be surprising if we saw Wagner pop up on WWE TV after this performance. So yeah, this was really good, and I would definitely obviously that 7 out of 10. Before we then moved on to our main event, featuring Vikingo defending the AAA Mega Championship against Dirty Dom. Mysterio tried to mock Vikingo's height, but the high flyer quickly grounded him into a submission and then lifted him off the mat. Dom countered with a roll-up for a quick 2. Despite the fan favourite Dirty Dom leaning into his heel persona and trying to cheat several times, with some attempts being more successful than others. For every trick Dom had, Vikingo had a high-risk move waiting to be unleashed. Unfortunately, McDonough and Balor showed up, distracting them so Dom could take advantage. Lee showed up to help Vikingo, but ended up being stomped to the ground. Ray arrived with a steel chair to even the odds, and after Judgment Day was driven away, Vikingo hit 6:30. A Grande Americana yanked the ref out of the ring though to stop the count. Dirty Dom hit a 619, followed by a frog splash, but there's no ref count. A new rest showed up and we got a 2. A few minutes later, Dom hit him with a loaded mask before one more frog splash to get the pin and the win. Dominic Mysterio's new AAA Mega Champion, making a double champion of the IC title. Ray was a man of his word and put title around Dom waist, albeit with some hesitancy. And yeah, it's weird that WWE now has the AAA and TNA world titles, but I mean, it was still a fun match. There's lots of chaos. I think it will lead to something better down the line. Also intrigued to see what Dom does with it. So yeah, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. Overall, Worlds Collide gets a 6 out of 10 from me. There was a few things that kind of stopped this show from being like a big deal. The fact it was after SmackDown, most of the matches were decent, but only 2 really stood out. Probably the 2 biggest highlights were the 2 last matches, but I thought it was alright, but maybe we can put more effort into the whole promotion of the show, and yeah, it might just hit a bit harder. That's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, follow us on our socials, link in the description below for daily wrestling news, meme and content. Subscribe to our other channels on screen right now, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.